Harvest Nights is a month-long Halloween-themed event held on the sprawling 152-acre Newfields campus, home to the Indianapolis Museum of Art. So we were brought on to develop a complete revamp of the narrative content for the event. Instead of the story or the show being entirely contained on one piece of architecture or one surface, this was a narrative that we wanted to weave throughout the whole campus. Our work included designing and executing a series of outdoor projection moments leading up to a massive projection mapping finale on the historic Lilly House facade.
As the guests are making their way through the Newfields grounds, they'll come across some physical objects we also created that were used to dress the grounds. We created 3D printed pumpkin characters with interactive projection systems inside so that their faces would animate and, with some of the projections, interact with the guests. We also fabricated in-house a custom-designed spectral train station set piece that also involved a projection mapping of a ghost train. And we created content for TVs that were dressed as portraits to create the illusion of living artwork on the interior of the Lilly House.
We knew we wanted all of our characters to have a specific physical presence since there was no dialogue in the show, so we collaborated with the Indianapolis Ballet and had their fantastic dancers bring the characters to life on camera.
From a production standpoint, we were able to capture the three graces, the 20s style dancers, as well as our kids. We are very fortunate to have our own studio, so we're able to do a lot of previs prior to the shoot to figure out a lot of things like wind speed and different types of fabric and frame rate.
One of the specific challenges with this being a projection mapping show is keeping the audience viewpoint in mind. To solve that, what we ended up doing was shooting everything from a very low angle so that we're never looking down at anybody's feet. What this does is that when actually projected, it's projected flat on the actual surface. It also helps us in post because you have a nice flat line where you can actually cut people out since everything has to be cut out from a green screen.
So because the house is so big, visual hierarchy became a core focus as we were designing and creating these assets. You're only ever looking at parts of it, so when there are characters on screen or when objects are flying around, we made sure to use lighting and even just like focus to make sure that the audience was paying attention to the right things. We honestly kind of treated it like a stage for a play, but a stage that we could zoom in on or suddenly make the stage scale up so we could focus on one part of the story.
We probably had 20 different versions of the front of this building that were divided up in different ways that allowed us to do transitions. We ended up keeping some of this roof trim and the pillars that were on the main structure, and keeping those little pieces rounded the whole experience, and it made the whole thing feel very seamless. Seeing the show in person was really amazing. It felt like you were looking into the building, and it just goes back to how we figured out a good workflow for this that made sure that what we were working with and what our end product was all lined up to make this experience feel magical.
Partnering closely with our clients, we brought the full power of our studio to this project. Tapped into our creative concepting, design, production, animation, set design, fabrication, interactive design, and engineering to deliver something truly extraordinary. In the end, I think where we were really successful was taking our client's vision, fleshing it out, and expanding it into a truly immersive narrative experience that visitors will hopefully be delighted with for years to come.